This video is sponsored by Motion Array. I've only released one black and white film simulation so far, and some people liked it, other people wanted a bit more crunch, deeper and richer black. So after binging a couple of Jason's videos over at Grainy Days and also kind of reviewing and looking at some of my own footage, I decided that I was ready to put something new together, something with a bit more crunch. I decided to call this new film simulation T-Rex, and some of you might be able to figure out what film that I kind of based the original idea on, even if I might have strayed away from the original idea or look to some degree while tweaking the last parameters and that kind of stuff. But I still think it's kind of a good name for a black and white film simulation. So I just decided to stick with T-Rex. Now, there is also an expired version of the T-Rex included in this pack. When film expires, there's a couple of things that can happen. It typically will lose some of its contrast, and it also becomes less sensitive to light. So you'll often need to overexpose or push expired film just a tiny bit, or it kind of depends on how expired the film is and what type of film it is, but maybe 1 to 2 or sometimes even 3 stops if it's some weird film or if it's super duper old. Now, to get some more grit in camera shooting digitally, I decided to shoot a lot of these examples or sample footage at ISO 1600, and I decided to use an ND filter to kind of bring down the exposure instead of stopping down my lens all the way to like f22 or something. So if you want to play around with this yourself, I would recommend an ND filter at 6 to maybe 8 stops would probably get the job done if you're planning on shooting fairly wide open and out in you know, bright daylight or near bright daylight and that kind of stuff. So I will put some links down below to some solid and some variable ND filters at different price points in case you don't have an ND filter at this point. If you want to shoot normally at a regular box speed or like ISO 100, 200 or what have you, then you could obviously add some grain in post. I do have some pretty tasty grain that I put together in a pack. I will put a link to that below as well in case you're interested. The grain is pretty tasty. So you can just drag and drop these on top of your footage like this. I'm just going to grab the first one here, drag it on top, fix the scale, and then we'll just set our blend mode to overlay. We might dial back the opacity just a tiny bit like this. And well, pretty much done. I think this one is ready to get a white border and be posted on Instagram. One thing that I wanted to bring up is the fact that all of these samples, these pictures in this video are all shot on my Canon SL2 or the 200D depending on where you live. That camera doesn't have the best dynamic range that I've worked with, especially if you're shooting JPEGs, and we've had just overcast days here for the last week or so. Getting an exposed sky along with some deeper shadows have been kind of tricky, so I apologize if the sky is blown out on some of these pictures, but hopefully I will get some more samples up on Instagram once we get blue skies or something, or maybe you can help me out and take some pictures. And if you do decide to post anything on Instagram, remember to use the hashtag #FilmicCanon. This way we can all find the pictures taken with these picture styles and just, you know, get some inspiration and get a better idea of how they work, how they render colors and all that fun stuff. Now, before we get on to the secret little bonus thing that I've included in this pack, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Motion. It was a moonless night.
Serious?
Yeah, you're right. It's probably not gonna work. Okay, let's do a regular one. It's hard to explain Motion Array in just a few words, but if you are a content creator, Motion Array is your secret bag of tricks. On top of templates and VFX, Motion Array offers motion graphics, music, stock footage. There's also a whole bunch of overlays like this pretty tasty film damage effect. There's animations, LUTs, and presets for Premiere Pro, Final Cut, DaVinci, and even CapCut. And my personal favorite is the motion array plugins. Now, take a look at this. This shot is done with an anamorphic lens, so we get those tasty anamorphic flares. This shot, on the other hand, is done spherical, but we can add some matching flares to this footage with the auto flare plugin. Without doing any tracking or animation to our footage, it's just drag and drop pretty much, and then you can dial in the color of the flare, the intensity, and all that fun stuff. And don't get me started on the film grain and the auto volumetric plugins. All of them are simple drag and drop effects, and there's even a short little tutorial attached to each effect that will help you get the results you're looking for and kind of get you where you're going in no time. So check it out yourself. Use the link below to get $50 off when you sign up. Trix is definitely a lot crunchier than the stock black and white profile we get on our Canon cameras. The expired version obviously have a lot of the same character, but it's a bit softer, a bit more milky, if you will, less contrasty. But I will probably shoot with these a lot this summer. I have been enjoying getting back to black and white. Haven't shot a lot of black and white since Hamburg, which was a year ago or so.
Good morning. Coffee with milk. Just need a little bit and then we'll continue.
Anyway, like I said, there is a third film simulation included in this pack, a little bonus for you called Retro Krum. Now, some of you might have seen this picture on my Instagram the other day. If you haven't, then here it is. The Retro Krum is kind of an experiment. It's my first attempt to see if I could make a film simulation that would kind of emulate the look of expired color film. Now, expired color film can produce some pretty funky color shifts, and so does Retro Krum. This one might not be the one that you pick for your family vacation and that kind of stuff. It's more of a, I don't know, artistic profile, if you will, and it will take some time for you to kind of discover what the different color shifts do, how they work when you over and underexpose it just a tiny bit, and same thing with lighting conditions and that kind of stuff. But I decided to include this film simulation in this pack as a little bonus, and I'm also kind of looking for feedback from you guys. Maybe some of you have more experience when it comes to shooting expired film than I do. I bet there's a lot of you that do, but I was kind of intrigued by this idea of kind of adding another layer to these film simulations and see if we can make them even more interesting and exciting. So I have a couple of these expired film simulation experiments going on. I found one called Fujifilm Industrial, which is a discontinued film, which I'm hoping that I would be able to order pretty soon. I haven't shown you a ton of examples of the Retro Krum. Try it out, see what you think. Put your reviews or your comments about Retro Krum and obviously Trix down in the comment section of this video. I will read it, I will get back to you, but that's pretty much it. So links will be in the description, and I will put a link to my installation tutorial video up on the end screen of this video in case you're new to film simulations and all that fun stuff. There will also be links to different ND filters, the grain overlays, and obviously for our sponsor, Motion Array. So thank you for watching, and thank you to Motion Array for sponsoring this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!